I'm here with Matthias Noback, a freelance developer, consultant, and writer based in Zeist in the Netherlands. Previously, Matthias has worked as software developer, paying special attention to internal quality assurance. He has been a PHP developer since 2002 and has been developing with the Symphony web application framework since 2007. He regularly writes about advanced Symphony 2 related topics on his blog, which you can find at matthiasnoback.nl, and you can find him on Twitter at Matthias Noback. Matthias is the author of the Leanpub book, A Year With Symfony, Writing Healthy, Reusable Symfony2 Code. In this interview, we're going to talk about Matthias's professional interests, his book, his experiences using Leanpub, and ways we can improve Leanpub for him and other technical authors. So thank you for being on the Lean Publishing podcast.
Thank you.
I'd like to start by asking you to go back a little bit and ask you for a brief introduction to your career. Like, how did you get interested in programming in the first place?
Yeah, it was at high school even. I tried some things with HTML, and I noticed there were some very nice editors around that time, like the Microsoft Front Page. I used it, and as well as Dreamweaver.
Okay.
It started with the usual WYSIWYG modifications. And then all of a sudden I had created a web page to begin with for my father. He is a photographer. So this was my first non-official assignment. Only later I started looking behind the images and the layout and looked at the code. And as soon as I saw code, I wanted to know more about this, and I started reading everything I could on the internet, still over a telephone cable at the time, with modem that said bling ding ding.
Right.
A great time. Later with faster internet connections, and also I went many times to the local library, and they had a computer, so I could use it to find out more about the internet and how you could put some stuff on it yourself.
Okay.
So this was very interesting to me. I was 16, maybe 17.
Okay. And did you study programming or web development at all?
Not at all.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No. That's something many people don't know. I studied philosophy.
Okay.
It took me 8 years to finish it.
Okay.
All the time I was working on websites and applications. So I think I spent just a couple of hours every week to study philosophy, and then the rest of my week I was already freelancer in 2002. But only after a couple of years I noticed that I was repeating myself. I was living literally in an attic, with my uncle in near the place where I live now. And I missed the fact that there were other people around me that I could talk to about the technical issues. And I started looking for some company that I could work for in a team. And that was a company in Amsterdam called 3-Bit. Yeah, it's 3 bits in English translated.
Okay.
They had quite a nice team of maybe I think at the time 8 people. Some front-end developers, some back-end developers, some project managers. And they had some great projects which I love to work on. Even before I started there, I got a book on Symphony 1 by mail.
Okay.
And I started reading this, and this was a great revelation for me.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what led you to start working with the Symphony framework?
Yeah. It was at this time that I had created a CMS system for myself, for my own customers. But this wasn't a very good system, of course. What could I do with just me as a developer? I noticed that after reading this book on Symphony, there were so much more possibilities to create software with just PHP and Symphony, of course. I became very excited about this new way of doing things. I think there were already some good CMS tools and also frameworks, but yes, I think Symfony was even then one of the best.
And what was it that distinguished Symfony from the other ones that made it better for you?
Yeah, I've always found the documentation and very clear and very friendly. Also, the community has always seemed very, how would you say, warm or welcome. To me, yeah. Though I must say I don't have that much experience with other frameworks, so you may just call it bias towards this Symfony thing. Yeah,
fair enough. That's something I've found with people who the way they choose different frameworks is often sometimes even just the first response they had when they started entering into a new community.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but I think Symfony has always had its documentation. Very good. So from the start, even with Symfony 2, in the very beginning, there was already a good site with some information. And although it changed a lot, it changed frequently.
And you've contributed to the documentation yourself?
That's right. Yeah. Only later.
Okay.
Yeah, I worked in Amsterdam at the time, and there was a lot of discussion in that company. Should they take the step from the first version to the second version and do things differently very much, because there is almost no way I think to port a Symfony 1 application to a Symfony 2 application.
And can you tell me a little bit more about Symfony 2 and what in particular was it meant to address? Who is it useful for? Mm-hmm. Things like that. Yeah.
Well, I think Symfony 2 is very useful for developers who are looking for a more advanced way to do things while they are developing internet applications, and they want to have as much. I mean they should be able to make as many choices as possible.
Okay.
So the builders of the framework have built in very many options for them to choose.
Okay.
From. Yeah.
Okay. Actually, I've read from things you've written on your blog, I think, and also in your book, that developing software for reusability is very important for you, and you've already mentioned it. I was just wondering if you could explain a little bit about what this means for you and why it's so important.
Yeah, I see this happening all the time, especially now that I pay so much attention to it. I see many people who love a framework develop only software for this framework. So, for instance, there are Twitter API clients just for Symfony, any other thing you could think of. There is someone who built it just for Symfony, and this was especially so for Symfony 1. And now, there has been more and more knowledge about how to create packages or reusable parts of software. So I think this is changing right now, but still people have much to learn about this.
Okay.
Many things are too specific for just one framework.
I see. So you're saying that when someone's developing an application, and parts of an application, they should keep in mind that if they develop in a certain way, then this can be useful not just in this particular instance, but in other instances as well. Right.
Yeah. And I always encourage people to share their work. So if they make it reusable from the beginning, this will be much easier.
Okay. Yeah. When did you first get the idea to write your Leanpub book, A Year with Symfony?
Well, I think in April this year. I don't know what I thought exactly at that time, and if I could ever finish this. It seemed like a very big task, though. When I think back of this, I had a blog already with more than 50 articles on it. So
okay.
I was a bit encouraged by this idea that if I could write all this stuff and put it online, I could surely write it and keep it offline for a while, and then later release it to the public.
So some of the content in your book came from your blog?
Not exactly, but some ideas.
Okay.
Yeah, I've taken some from my blog. Yeah.
In your book, you say that Symfony encouraged you to do things right. Do you remember? Can you tell me what you mean by that?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. This is one of the facts I wrote recently on my blog. I wrote an article called "Why Symphony: 7 Facts," and this is also always controversial, of course, because facts, well, they are just strong opinions,
right?
But the seventh one is interesting. Is the most interesting, I think, because I've noticed around me that people who start using Symfony are becoming better developers right away. So they take a look at the code from the framework, written by very good programmers around the world, and they many times they will feel inspired by this, and they will try to in the first place replicate this coding style, and then do it write their own code in the same way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So since you say you started in, you just got the idea in April. So how long did the book take you to write?
Yeah, I was already finished in July, and then I had a holiday and some time to think about the book. Is this the way I wanted to become known to many people?
Right.
And my conclusion was yes, this is ready, and I had 3. Actually more. I think 4 or 5 people who had read the book already, or partly, and their comments were not very substantial.
Okay.
They were good comments. So the book has become better in those few weeks, but no big reasons to postpone release or.
Okay, so it's mostly you, but with some opinions from other people. Yeah, that's great. I wanted to ask this sort of. I think a lot of people who are developers and are thinking of writing a book themselves like to hear about those details that you normally don't hear in kind of big stories. It took you from the moment you started thinking about it to when you were finished. It was about 3 or 4 months. Then you took a break and had other people read it before releasing it. But also one of the reasons I gather you could do it in that period of time was that you'd actually been writing about it already for a long time. And already had an audience of people for your blog.
Yeah, those are important things. The writing experience. So if I had tried this 2 years ago, it would have taken me much longer, and some good native English writers or speakers
right.
to correct me on many things.
Who is the intended audience for the book? Like your ideal reader that you were keeping in mind when you were writing it?
That's interesting. Yeah, I sometimes thought of a new colleague or a fellow developer who would become a member of my team, and I would explain to him some things, and then another developer would come, and I wouldn't want to tell him everything in person again, so I would like him to read the book, and then it would it would give me a lot of free time.
I see.
Back.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. This has been a good idea, I think, because my idea from the beginning was there is a lot on Symfony on the web. There is a good documentation. It's called the book. So
I saw that. Yeah, the book.
That was already a problem for me. The book. So how could there be another book on Symfony? But right. But this documentation is very. It contains only the facts and no suggestions on how you could create your project, or no best practices, even some very bad practices on this site, especially when it comes to security of web applications. Okay.
I have a very specific question that is actually very important for successfully launching and spreading word about an ebook, which is who made your amazing cover? It's fantastic.
I did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, but it is a picture I bought from a stock photo website.
Okay.
So yeah, that would have been awesome if I had such a mosaic in my garden or something
Right.
like that. But no. So just the image and then some overlay. But it looks very good.
It does, yeah.
If I may say so.
It's just amazing. And one of the things that and again, it's a very precise thing to talk about, but it's very important for selling ebooks that the font you chose and the sort of precision of it is very clear in a number of different sizes, including small ones. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I think a lot of people who are making book covers don't take into account, that it's not just, the sort of size of a big book page. People are often going to see a sort of thumbnail. Mm-hmm. And your title stays clear at different levels of zoom, I guess. I just wanted to mention that. That's right. One of the things that I found so impressive about the book when I first came across it. Yeah, it was more intuition than really designer's knowledge or something like that. Okay. You actually you launched your book in a really interesting way. Can you explain what you did?
Yeah, I thought of this just a couple of weeks before I would release this book, and I thought it would be great to really release the book real time with an audience in the room. And this is possible with Leanpub, of course. There is a button I would have pushed myself, but then in a room with just me. And when you push it, it says publish your book. And you see all the build steps being taken with the real book as a result being published online.
Yes.
Yeah, and so after that, immediately people can start buying the book. This is what happened actually 2 weeks ago. I had a presentation at the local user group of Symfony2 users, and I put the page on screen and also the publish button. I clicked it there, and people were waiting.
That's amazing. So they were seeing the build process live.
Right, yeah. And this was very nice. It took only a couple of minutes, so this was If it would have been longer, this would have been quite boring. But people were actually very excited while they saw the progress, and they even saw the message sending mails to interested readers. And many of the people in the room were interested readers, interested people, and they were even subscribing at that same moment.
Oh, well, that's very cool.
Yeah, so it was a great time that night. Yeah.
I guess that's a good transition to the next part of the interview. I'd like to ask you some questions about your experience with Leanpub and the Lean publishing process. So can you tell me how you found out about Leanpub in the first place and why you chose us for your publishing platform?
Yeah, one big example for me was Chris Hartjes. He has published with Leanpub 2 books on PHP unit testing. I didn't actually read the books, but I saw he was very good at this, and he's very good at marketing and at promoting his own brand, which is the grumpy programmer.
Yes.
He does this very well, and I thought, well, maybe I can do this too. I have something to say about Symfony, and I feel very passionate about this. I'm very passionate about this. So, this was a good moment to start. I also mentioned this to him, and he was very happy about this.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, we actually interviewed him a couple of weeks ago, and that interview is already live on our blog and on our podcast.
Yeah.
And,
I read it. Yeah.
Oh, you've seen it? Okay, great. Oh, that's great that you came to us through Chris. How would you describe your experience using Leanpub from when you got started to when you published? It was a very clean sort of experience. I wanted to write a book, but don't have many trouble with layout things. Okay.
Yeah. So I was very happy that the whole infrastructure was there. So the Dropbox folder and the build process. Whenever I wanted, I could have a preview of my book. Also, Markdown, the format of the original, the manuscript, that is a very good format. It has many good options, but not too many. So you have to choose the right options and automatically be consistent in your writing. So this is a very good combination of techniques.
Okay.
Yeah, and now that once it has been launched, I have also no trouble at all to see people buy the book, see who bought it, which discount.
Right. So is engaging directly with people who've bought your book important to you?
Yeah, very much. Yeah, I have. I have reserved last week a couple of days just to spend some time with these people, sending messages, listening to what they said.
Great!
Making small corrections to the original text.
Great. Is there more we could do when you're thinking about that and that time you're going to spend? Is there more we could do to help you engage with your readers?
Not that I can think of. No.
Okay.
No, it is already very good. The discussions, the way people can reach me by sending an email.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and using so you've enabled the feedback feature so that people can either use the discuss comments or actually email you directly.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
This was one of my main goals with this book. To mention Chris again, he said somewhere that one of the problems is determining a price for your product, and he said that he would think of something that made himself feeling uncomfortable.
Right.
So a bit too high, really, and that would be a good price. Well, I thought, no, not for this first book. So I chose the average price that was suggested to me by the Leanpub calculations itself.
Okay. That's interesting.
Around $20, I think, or maybe $15.
So was this from people who'd gone to your page before you published the book and had entered a price they would be willing to pay for the book?
That's right. Okay. About 500 people. So I thought that would be quite representative for the price they would really want to pay. So some people were very generous at that time. So they said, $30, $40, $50, but most people around $20. And I thought that's a friendly price. Also, my main goal was to reach as many people as possible at this time. So I chose not too high price.
So you've chosen $25, I see.
No, but in the beginning this was 15. So if you were an interested reader and you supplied your email address, I gave all these people a discount code.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you've also chosen to have the minimum price and the suggested price be the same. Mm-hmm. Is there a reason for that?
Well, not really, I think.
No, there doesn't have to be.
No, right. No, I think it's good to have one fixed price, and I have noticed not many people would want to go higher with the price.
Okay.
And
Okay, so you haven't found too many people sort of clicking and dragging the pricing slider to the right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I see that actually already, even though you just launched recently, you already have 4 translations on the go.
Yeah, that's amazing. As soon as maybe an hour after the official release, there was already someone saying, may I translate this book to Portuguese, German, Polish, and Spanish, right? Spanish. The Spanish translator already wanted to translate before the book was published, so he trusted me that much that he would want to do this. Very nice. Yeah.
What is your plan for splitting royalties with your translators?
Yeah, this will be 25% for them.
Okay.
So and I know this is kind of generous, but I see that this takes a lot of effort for them, and I'm not sure if it will pay back. So I think this is a good middle way.
Some people actually do 50%.
Right.
So you don't need to feel that you're reading it. I mean, it's still, yeah. It's. I just ask these questions because it's very. It's when an author is doing pricing. It's especially the first time. It's hard to know what to do and whether or not what one is doing is unusual or right down the middle. Yeah. So sharing this kind of information is very useful.
Yeah, it is difficult. Yeah, in many ways. But I've looked very much at other Leanpub authors, publishers, people writing books and what they do with the price.
Okay. Is there anything generally that you thought, even if it's very minor when you were using Leanpub, or when you think about it now that you've published your book, that we could improve?
No, well, not really big things. Some things that come to mind when it's about formatting the text. I would like to have more freedom to choose my own font. Maybe.
Fonts. Okay.
Yeah. But overall, it's a very clean way of doing things. Very fast.
Okay, so you had used Markdown before you started using Leanpub? Mm-hmm. Okay, of course.
Yeah. It's a common format for developers who write documentation for their own code, or
Okay.
So that's no problem.
Okay, and so there were no big features that you were thinking, I really wish Leanpub had this?
No, not really.
Oh,
no.
That's good.
Some convenience. Maybe some tools. There is a feature where you can create a sample of your book, and the assumption here is that you can take some chapters and provide them as a sample to the readers, potential readers.
Yes.
And I chose to not give entire chapters away, but only parts of chapters.
Okay.
So I devised my own system for extracting parts of every chapter.
Oh, I see. And then so you've got to maintain two different files then. And so if you update the complete sort of primary copy, then you would have to update separately the sample partial.
Right. But I had created a tool for this, so it would take, I would have comments in the original files saying this is the beginning of a sample, this is the end of a sample, and then it would take from all the different chapters the sample parts.
Oh,
and
great.
put them in one file. So
great.
This removes the duplication.
Okay. And if you had any advice to give to any other developers out there who are thinking of writing a book, what would your advice be? Yeah,
my advice would be to just start and try this. It is, I think within 10 minutes I was already writing this book. I had some ideas, and I did a small brainstorm in a text file. Maybe it was 200 lines after that, and from that I started to split this in real chapters. And take your time, maybe 1 hour a day to write a book. It is easy because of the infrastructure that Leanpub provides, and it is very much appreciated. Anything like this, developers really like to read each other's ideas, about each other's ideas. Yeah.
Okay, great. I guess my last question is that at the end of A Year with Symfony, you say that if you were ever to write a book again, it would be about PHP package design.
Yeah.
What are the chances you're going to do that?
100%.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I've already created a new book on the site on leanpub.com, and I've already started writing on it.
Oh, excellent. Well, good luck with that. And if you ever have any questions or feature requests or run into any blockers, please get in touch with us directly.
I will.
Okay. Well, I think that's about all the time we have. Thank you very much for being on the Lean Publishing Podcast and for being a Leanpub author.
And thanks for having me.